You don't know the continent you are sitting on is called Africa. And Africa has a whole population of about 1.1 billion people. And Africa is a continent that spans over a space of 11.7 million square miles. It is the second biggest continent in the world, only next to Asia. Common knowledge. Common knowledge. In Ghana, we have a certain something called the gate of no return. In other words, you walk through it and you don't return. And we have a year of return. Listen to the paradox. Gate of no return, year of return. It means African people are making a conscious effort to have people out there return. Let me take you through a small journey of history. 200 years before Ghana became Ghana from the Gold Coast, two very important people were born. One was born in 1757, and that was a little boy called Tuba Quano. And he was born in a Jumaku here, central region. At the age of 6, he was taken into slavery. And history will tell you that he was the youngest independent person who was taken across the shores of Africa into slavery. At the age of 6, his mother was not with him. His father was not with him. He was just playing in the compound of the chief of Ejumako when wicked people came in, took him on, and carried him on a ship all the way across the oceans and made him a slave. They changed his name from Otuba Quano to John Stuart, a name he could not connect with. Remember, he was born somewhere in 1757. 200 years later, exactly, his country, today called Ghana, became independent. 1759, there was another great guy, and he was called Paul Coffie. He became the first black person to walk into the American White House and meet the American president then, called James Madison. Why did he do that? Paul Coffie became the richest black man in the whole America, and he came from Ghana today. From Ghana. Let's rewind a little bit. Otuba Quano went all the way into England. He taught himself how to read and write. Walked into the British Parliament House. Got people like Garvey and the rest of them. Pushed them to be able to free black people to return home. He taught himself how to read and write. Self-taught. Paul Coffie was able to work very hard to buy a huge ship to carry black people from the Americas back, Rasta will say, forward to Africa. And he began with Sierra Leone. He was so rich, his wealth frightened white people. So they seized his ship for no reason. For that reason, he had to go into the White House to receive an official apology from James Madison. He continued bringing people for free. Today, when you go to America, specifically Massachusetts, at a place called Cutie Honk, this gentleman called Paul Coffie has a big mansion. If you happen to be Ghanaian, if you happen to be African, with special priority for Ghanaians. You sleep for free, you eat for free, and you stay there for free. All because of this guy called Paul Coffie. Year of return. Gate of no return. There has always been the need for black people to return home. Why? Because first they were forced out of their continent. Remember that they had no rights. Even animals had more rights than black people. Jim Crow, you all remember. Black people will not be able to play with white people. You dared not tell a white woman that, oh, you're pretty, you look nice, you'll be hanged. I can give you about 20 examples of little children who told white people, oh, you're so beautiful. And they got hanged in the days of slavery. They were forced into the Americas and other places, therefore they had to return. They could not connect with whatever was going on there. And for that reason, they had to come back and help develop the motherland. Now there was another guy from Achim area where the president is from, a village called Apaso, and he was called Chief Charles Alfred Sam. He was born around the same time as Marcus Garvey, somewhere in 1890. And this guy saw the need to bring black people back or forward to Africa, Ghana. That's him. Chief Alfred Charles Sam. How was he able to bring them home? He told them a lot of lies. When you come to Ghana, at that time, of course, there was no Ghana. I'm taking you to my hometown, Achim. When it rains, water alone does not drop. Diamonds also fall from the skies. And they said, wow. He said, that's not all. Sugarcane in my land is as big as stovepipes. A stovepipe is like twice this you're seeing. He said, wow, that is good. And he said again, when you go to the seaside, instead of having waves hit the shore, is gold that flows along the shore. So, wow, then we want to return home. Let's go. And Chief Sam bought a whole ship. This guy was rich. A whole ship. It was a ship originally called Kutiba, and he changed it to SS Liberia. He decided to bring them home. Why the change? Maybe next time when we have time, we'll look at that. Why the Titanic was called the White Line, White Star Line, and Marcus Garvey changed it to Black Star Line. We'll look at all that. But this guy here decided to bring people home. They paid only $25. They got angry with this guy because he was taking the labor out of America. And then they stopped his ship, but he had all the papers. A black man could not own a ship. How did you own that ship? He showed all his documents and brought them to Liberia. When they arrived, they proceeded to Salt Pond. When they arrived in Salt Pond, our Fanti brethren and sisters all rushed. They were happy that they had come because they were expecting them to give them goodies. What did you bring from America? And the people, we thought we were coming for the diamonds from the skies. The sugar cane that's as big as stovepipes. The shores that are lined with gold. But these people seem to be hungry. So no, you haven't arrived there yet. They arrived in Achim, and there was more trouble. Unfortunately, that day it rained. So all the people came out, looking into the skies, waiting for that thing to drop. Oh, no diamonds. Where are the sugar canes? Oh, you have to go to another place before you get that. So they got disappointed. And the people of Achim were not ready to give them land to stay on. A lot of them returned to Oklahoma. Disappointed, Chief Sam gave up. And he went back somewhere. And then that was all. He died at a very young age. Finally, there was a great guy called Marcus Garvey from Jamaica. When we talk about the back to Africa thing, everything points at Marcus Garvey. But trust me, the whole thing started with people from here. I'm not surprised when I hear the president say, back to Africa, this person, but it started right here. Story of Tuba, Quano, Paul Coffie, and there was a prophetess from Accra. She was called Laura Adoko Kofi. She was born right here in Accra. That's her. She said she was hearing the voice of the Holy Spirit. She was born around the same time as Marcus Garvey as well, 1890. Garvey was born in 1887. And she got into America without sitting in a ship. No plane. There are no documents to show how she entered America. When she entered America, somewhere in 1918, she entered America. By 1920, she linked up with Marcus Garvey and said, listen, the Holy Spirit of God says I should join hands with you to bring Africans to no other place but the Gold Coast, Ghana. Marcus Garvey was thinking about Liberia. And she said, Ghana. Then, at that time, Marcus Garvey had already founded the UNIA, United Negro Improvement Association, to make black people independent. See what happened? They had UNIA without a flag. It was this lady from Ghana, today Ghana, who sat down with Marcus Garvey and painted the UNIA flag. And it looks like that. The UNIA flag. Red, black, green. That beautiful flag. UNIA. But she was a prophetess. So she went from place to place telling people the mind of God. So she got so many people to join the UNIA, Marcus Garvey's movement. But she became too powerful for Marcus Garvey. Because anybody who came was looking for her. They found a way of assassinating her somewhere in 1920. She was also bringing people to Africa. So you look at it and you see that so many different people from this part of the world, the first time we ever heard about return to Africa was done by a Ghanaian, Paul Coffie. And these other people bought ships to be able to bring black people to Africa. Today I ask a beautiful question. Year of return. Are they returnees or visitors? Are they returnees or tourists? I heard the Minister of Tourism 2 days ago say, yes, 1 million people have come in the country because of the year of return. And we have earned about $1.6 billion from the year of return. You are missing the target. You are missing it. You don't seem to know the history. We are looking for people who will return and connect with the motherland. We are looking for people who spiritually want to return home. And to make it worse, she said, oh, because of that, we are building some statues of who. People are not here to look at statues. People are not here to look at dances. People are not here to listen to music. People are here to connect with the ancestral spirit. And when you have that, that is when you can say that the year of return has actually happened. Or else, when you go to Jamaica, they have millions of people coming into that island for tourism. That little peck of an island. You go to other places, it is happening. So 1 million people coming to Ghana without Ghana Airways. It's no achievement. We need the people to understand how they got there and how and why they are supposed to return and connect. I'm going to conclude it in 2 seconds. 2 seconds. The city of Memphis in Egypt was built in 1300 BC. 1300 before Christ was born. It took the Athenians, Greeks, 1900 years, 1900 years to be able to duplicate a photocopy of that. It means Africa was 1900 years ahead of Greece. And it took the Romans 2000 years to be able to struggle and build a certain photocopy of the city of Memphis that was built in Egypt. Africans were always high. Julius Caesar, the mighty Julius Caesar said what? Ex-Africa, Simper aliqui novi, which means out of Africa comes surprising, beautiful, new things every time. They couldn't believe how Africa, militarily, Africa was number one. We taught people guerrilla tactics. When we were able to read and write, in fact, when we invented reading and writing, Europeans were totally illiterate. Today, we're all going to Harvard. We're all going all the way. If we have a certificate from Timbuktu University, who regards that? But Harvard, you walk with your chest high, and your accent changes, your steps, like that. The only way these things can turn is to bring up those who built those monuments, to bring up those whose minds connect. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. If one thing is out, it will never be complete. It's good to bring back the spirit of all those people who left, to join us, to be able to complete that jigsaw and see ourselves move forward. Or else, there could be 1 million other years of return, yet they will be tourists and visitors. So the burden of knowledge. The burden of knowledge. Now that you know, what would you do? Thank you.